another annual Independence Day event took place in Boston Harbor, the turning round of the USS Constitution, better known as Old Ironsides. This handsome ship is the oldest commissioned naval ship in the world. Its history also symbolizes the spirit of '76.
When three men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation.
Three men standing between their homes and the war's desolation. Well, that's the story of this great vessel. This is the USS Constitution, better known to many as Old Ironsides, still commissioned by the United States Navy, making it the oldest commissioned warship in the world. Still standing guard here in Boston Harbor.
She was commissioned by President George Washington in 1794, when America had hardly any navy to speak of. Built right here in Boston by local shipwrights, the same men who built the great China merchant ships. Even our old friend Paul Revere had a hand in her. He provided the copper sheathing and copper spikes for her hull. Constitution was built to be fast and powerful, able to operate by herself and take on anyone who dared to tangle with her. She was like a seagoing Minuteman, quick, elusive, hard-hitting.
She put her powers to the test in the War of 1812. On August 19th of that year, she found herself squaring up against the heavily armed British frigate Guerriere.
Constitution's captain was Isaac Hull, a rough and rambunctious Connecticut sailor. Guerriere sailed under James Dacres, a polished British gentleman. The two men knew each other and before the war had jokingly bet a hat on who would win if their ships ever met. Now, a lot more than a hat was at stake. In that hot August noon, Guerriere ran out her guns and let fly with a roaring broadside.
The next 2 hours were a swirling hell of smoke, sparks, and flying splinters. The men heaved at the guns, struggling to aim in a rolling sea. The powder monkeys raced up from the magazines to feed the iron dogs with powder and shot. A quarter ton per broadside.
Fire!
In the fury of that battle, Old Ironsides earned her new nickname when her sailors saw British cannonballs bounce off the tough South Carolina live oak that covered them. The Guerriere had no such protection. With masts down, 15 men dead, and fires breaking out, she knew she'd had enough fighting for one day. Captain Dacres hauled down the Union Jack, and the cannons fell silent.
When the beaten British captain stepped on the Constitution's deck, he offered up his sword to Captain Hull. Hull smiled and said, "I will not take the sword from one who knows so well how to use it. But I tell you, Dacres, I will trouble you for that hat."
It wasn't just Constitution's iron sides that gave her the victory. It was the kind of men who sailed her. The British crews of the time were poor souls who had been kidnapped into service off the streets of their hometowns. Pressing, they called it. Our men were volunteers, skilled marksmen and sailors. They served their cause for love, not fear, because they knew what they were fighting for.
Life on board ship wasn't easy. There were 450 men crammed into this vessel. Each had rights to a patch of deck 2 feet longer than he and 6 inches wider. Everything that they ate had to be packed into barrels before the voyage. 3 months out, and they'd be drinking green water, eating gray salt pork, and trying to chew ship's bread so hard that you could rake a tooth on it. The only thing that ate well on the Constitution were the fleas. If you got sick, there was a sick bay. If you were wounded, they'd take you down to what they called the cockpit. Either way, there wasn't much the doctors could do. We think of Constitution sailors as hardy, robust men. Well, maybe that was because those were the ones that survived. The proud Constitution went on to many more victories, but there was one great enemy that she couldn't outgun or outrun: time. By 1905, she was rotting at her moorings, a sad old hulk.
Some economy-minded Navy busybodies suggested towing her out to sea and using her for target practice until she sank. But folk in Boston got to hear of it and came together to rescue her. They raised contributions from thousands of people, mostly school children. Their piggy bank pennies saved America's heritage. The limping warrior was brought back to Boston for a stem-to-stern refit.
Materials were donated from all over the country: Georgia pine, Florida live oak, and a couple of 400-year-old Washington fir trees for the masts. It's almost as if the states were ratifying the Constitution all over again. Old Ironsides was rehulled, scraped and painted, made shining new and ship-shape. But deep in her hull, there's still that good original New Hampshire oak and maybe some of old Paul Revere's own copper spikes.
Like the noble document whose name she bears, the Constitution has been many times in danger but never sunk. Framed by ingenious builders, designed to be flexible but firm, she's come through the centuries, rock solid and copper bottom. But she has her ghosts. Peering past the guns, you can almost hear the barefoot tread of the bold sailors who walk these decks.
You can feel the shades of those forgotten patriots approach and ask, "How sails the nation?" You'd better answer, "Steady as she goes," or the anchors will rise from the sea, the sails break out from the yard arms, and those iron dogs will bark again for the liberty of our nation.
Oh, beautiful for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee,